So I'm a little lucky, as you can imagine, being an entrepreneur and a coach, that my whole job is to be in my feminine embodiment. So it's easy for me. But how does that look like for someone who might be more in a masculine dominated field? Let's talk today about feminine embodiment and how does that look like when you are at work, when you are in your day-to-day job. So I'm a little lucky, as you can imagine, being an entrepreneur and a coach, that my whole job is to be in my feminine embodiment. So it's easy for me. But how does that look like for someone who might be more in a masculine dominated field? Let's say even the tech field, right? I see a lot of women now entering into the tech field, and it's been quite male dominated for a long time. So, how does one cultivate their feminine embodiment? So I like to talk about feminine embodiment from a place of, again, tuning into what does the feminine mean? So the feminine, she is soft, she's graceful, she is powerful like Mother Nature. And so she doesn't have to be like loud and in your face by any means, but she's just powerful in her way of being and how resolute she stands. So again, when I say soft, you can be powerful in your softness and how graceful you're being. She's wild, she is flows like a river. She is surrendered and trusting. And so when you think about some of these characteristics, ask yourself, how could you shape that into your day-to-day life when you're at work? And so I would love to give an example of, let's say your boss hands something back to you that you had to review and just starts to tear you apart to pieces, like feedback, all of it is just sounds crummy and yucky, and it just makes you feel like crap. Feminine embodiment in that moment would be to take some time in your own space to truly just allow yourself to feel what you're experiencing. Let the tears go, let the frustration come. You don't need to do this on anybody. This is just about you being in your own process and taking that time for you. And it could be letting yourself really feel into your muscles, the burning rage, the anger, the fire. It could be, standing up against a wall and feeling that. It could be swirling your hips around the office space, just letting yourself take it out. Maybe you don't have as much privacy to do that and you just need to kind of take some time to shake it out through your hands or shake it out through your upper body, your legs. The feminine allows you to move. She is asking and begging for you to move that energy freely and with flow, to truly lay down your arms and to surrender it. And so, movement is going to be a key piece of letting yourself process whatever emotions that are coming up for you. I mean, heck, if you have a pillow, scream into it. So that's, I would say, the first step of really cultivating your feminine embodiment in, let's say, a situation where you just feel uncomfortable, you feel the rise of emotion coming up, and instead of suppressing it back down, right, which is just toxic for our bodies, letting it come up and through. Let's say you're having more just a neutral, natural conversation. Can you allow yourself to just feel the freedom of your hips moving as you're sitting in your chair at your office? Can you take the time when you're going from one office space to the next, or even as you're running errands, to really feel a little sway in your hips as you walk down the grocery aisle, as you run to the post office to grab something, as you head over to a coworker's desk? There's so many ways to just like cultivate that sensuality in your body. So whether it's from the sway of your hips, or maybe you wear a certain fabric that feels good, that you can just have a couple of moments in the middle of the day where you can just like put your hand on your heart, hand on your belly, and maybe you just take a couple of gentle rubs on that fabric just to like really sink into it. I know this is a cashmere sweater. It feels nice and warm, like a beautiful hug. And this would be inviting for my body if I was sitting at a desk. Feminine embodiment also looks like stretching at your desk. So, not just sitting at your desk all day, but taking some time to get up and just stretch your body in a way that is allowing you to stretch into your curves, that's allowing you to stretch into what feels good. So, you could be sitting at your desk and you could be doing this, right? And this feels more like, something that Richard Simmons would have you do at the desk, which God bless his soul. But what would it look like for you to actually take the time to maybe put on a slow song and really enjoy slowing down, really taking your time to open your body into a stretch where like it actually feels really pleasurable for you. I can do the exact same stretch. Ugh. And as I'm like just following the stretch of wherever my arm takes me, it feels, oh, so much more different in my body. Like, I'm like, wow, I just like totally opened up my entire right shoulder instead of like doing it with like some pizzazz in your body. It's not really that feminine. It's about following the flow of your breath. That's what's really going to drop you into your feminine. You can even do presence practices. So I talked about, being in flow is very much a feminine practice. And I must say that I think when we're in presence practices like meditation, there's sort of a divine connection of both masculine and feminine. But what if you took something like you felt energy in the palm of your hand, and maybe you even have a little crystal, or you have something that feels like a memento to you that you can have in your hand, or you can just imagine what it is that you want in your hand. And you're just going to imagine the weight, the texture, the feel, the temperature of it, the color of it. And you're just going to allow that energy to radiate in your hand. And you're just going to then pull that energy up and through your body. How can that energetic thing, whether again a crystal or, some memento, something like of a keychain, just something that means something to you, and how can you actually pull the energy, the frequency of that object into your beingness, like through your bloodstream? And that in and of itself as a presence practice is also cultivating that feminine embodiment, because you're in relationship with that, you're in connection with that, you're creating this line of communication between you and this, and taking that into your being is absolutely the feminine. If we think about Mother Nature and the power of trees, right? Trees have a way with their roots and how they connect into other trees. And it's like they're this online network, right? And how they take in the water to bring into the soil to again grow the trees. They're constantly taking and giving in that sense. They're in this reciprocity. And so, even something as simple as holding a crystal in your hand and pulling in the energy, the properties of what this crystal means to you, or what the properties of the crystal symbolize, you're taking that energy and you're allowing it to work within your being. You are in this reciprocity state. So many different simple activities that you can do in your feminine embodiment at your workplace. It shouldn't just be about you sitting there all day long. Take some time, put a timer on, if it's at the top of every hour or after every meeting, cushioning 5 minutes to just take that time to really be in your senses. Heck, feminine embodiment, if you're like, I'm so brand new at this, could be taking the time to walk to the bathroom with, as much sachet as feels good in your body, washing your hands, like really cleansing yourself through water, because water is a conduit of energy, right? And it's cleansing. It's also in that free flow form, and really imagining, right, that the water is just slushing off anything from the last meeting, from this last thing that you dealt with. And then you can even take time to just splash the water on your face, feel how cool it is. Like, let yourself be settled, let yourself ground into that. It can also be a couple of moments in the bathroom, like cheering yourself on, giving yourself a mantra saying, "You got this, beauty. I love you. Let's take on the day." You can affirm something that's needed. It's about you being in relationship with your body to whatever capacity, whether it's something you need to say, whether it's something you need to feel, whether it's something you need to hear. Maybe it's enjoying a piece of chocolate, right? And doing a little cup of pelvic grinds because that chocolate tastes so good. Or maybe you're a mint person, right? It's about you tapping into your senses, your sensuality, which is again always coming back to your senses. bringing in your emotional state, allowing your body to be in connection and in communication to what is happening around you. I promise you, if you just try to play with one sense every single day for the 5 days of the week that you're generally at work, you're going to start to find a huge shift in your body. So try it. Let me know how it sounds in the comments.
I would love to know, what did you think of this video? Please comment below, what were your greatest takeaways? What is that golden nugget that sat with you that you are taking out and into the world? Because let's face it, transformation only occurs when you're willing to take action on it. So share below. That will ensure that you have really taken in this wisdom and you're going to amplify it in your life. And of course, if you loved this content, subscribe. And then you can always check your notifications so that you get all content that comes through. Because one of my greatest pleasures is to be able to see this energy being amplified and rippled into the world.